Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you the BioShock Infinite table that I've been working on for like 1 or 2 weeks now. I've been doing a revision of this cheat table because back in 2003, 2004, I wasn't, let's say, very experienced into Unreal Engine 3. And with the latest analysis that I've been doing, I've gotten to understand quite a bit of it, and I'm going to show you a bit of that just today. So what I'm going to do first, before I start everything, is to open up a beer. Yeah, not sure if that sound made it in, but anyway. And I'm just going to fire up BioShock Infinite, the version that I have from Steam. So I'm working with the official one. And once we're past these movies and in-game, what I want to show you first is if you go to options and then settings, well, just options, somewhere in here, gameplay, audio, graphics. I think if you stay long enough in here, you'll see at some point the version somewhere down below. I do recall seeing it, but I don't right now. I don't know why it's not here. Maybe I have to alt tab. Well, for some reason it doesn't show. Options again. Come on, there was a version here. It's pretty much down below here, and well, it's not that visible. Anyway, it's the same version that you see in the properties of the game's executable. Alright, so I'll just go in game for now. The first thing I want to show you when opening up the BioShock Infinite process in Cheat Engine, and then opening up, well, I do have it in the default folder where the cheat tables are, and opening up the cheat table, I want to show you the fact that here in the script section, if you open up the cheat handler, you'll see that there is this slow-mo pointer. The reason it's not valid up to this point is because, well, up to this part here, we don't have, up to this part here, we don't have a pawn, as in a player. We're still at main menu, and given the fact that we're not in game and we don't have an active player that would have a certain structure and a pointer to it, well, everything up from 1FC there will not build up. So the reason I'm showing you this is it will not work out to main menu. It will only work in game. But there are other ways to get to this particular structure where the slow-mo effect occurs, but I'm not sure if you really want to record main menu in slow motion or in fast motion. But anyway, let's get inside the game. And continue. This is pretty much my progress so far with this game, the way that I left it back in 2004. And we're in game. We see the weapon, we see Elizabeth. Let's take health. Notice how when you jump and when you land, the screen shakes a bit. And the same effect occurs when you drop on the ground or get up. See how it shakes. Also, the same effect occurs when you're firing the weapon. Even if you're zooming in, oh, you have screen shake, meaning recoil. Also, when you fire, notice the reticle in front of me. That's the spread. So what I'm going to show you first, I'll tab into the table. Oh, I think maybe, no. Cancel. I don't. Audio, no. Gameplay, no. I'm still trying to pursue that version that I saw in the options. It just doesn't show up so far. So first things first. A bit chaotic, my presentation. So what you're supposed to be doing is to run the initialize script. This script will acquire some pointers to Unreal Engine tables and set the symbolistic for some of the internal game functions, engine functions like process event here, static find object that I'm using in some of the scripts, find function checked, get full name, and so on and so forth. So with this script being turned on, you can then take a look at the other stats like character stats. And you can see here your health. You can see the maximum health. For example, if I take this and put it here, normally it should update the health that's displayed on screen, but it doesn't because it needs a refresh. So also see that if I find some health pack or something like that, it will not let me pick it up because the game will already have checked the value that we changed earlier. Well, I can find one right now. But anyway, thing is, this will get updated only if an in-game event occurs. So you'll see the top left health bar fill up very fast. Then you also have the shield here, the current value and the maximum value. You have the health kits. I think these are for the DLC, if I remember correctly. I didn't find any use for them in the main game. You have the amount of silver. As you can see, the value here is also shown, displayed on screen. The salt value, lockpicks 24, as you can see after having moved the window. You also see the bullets in your clip and the max. And then the value of speed, the value of your jump height, the coordinates. Let's see, if I freeze these coordinates, you'll see that I cannot move. Okay. And then if I change the jump height to double the value, you'll see that I'm jumping a bit higher than regular and stuff like that. So modifications like these you can do on your own. I'm just showing you the possibilities here. Then you have the script section where, for example, if you take a look at information being displayed herein, I'm going to talk about the cheat handler in a bit, but first, unlimited ammo. There are two ways to do unlimited ammo. The first one that I thought of was to tap into the so-called difficulty rule set. What happens is when you start a new game and you choose your difficulty, or I think you can also change it from the main menu, there is a certain Unreal object that will be assigned to the world that you're into, and that Unreal object contains a property by which the difficulty rule set tells it to let's say make all the ammo in-game in your game world infinite. And when you do that, you'll see what happens in-game. Notice how in the bottom right, I don't have any more, let's say, clip value. And I can fire as much as I want, and you see no depletion. The same goes for the vigor, the, let's say, salt of the vigor. I can use it, and nothing happens. No depletion, as in. Alright, so that's the first way of doing unlimited ammo. If I disable the script, you'll see that everything's back to normal. I have 5 bullets now in bottom right, and when I fire, you see salt depletes. The other way of doing it is with this other script. This other script, if you open it up and take a look at it, you'll see that what it does is to go through X game engine, local player, player controller, and then find our player. Our player is called xhuman, and this function runs whenever you swap or cycle weapons or vigors, because even the vigor is considered a weapon by the standards of how the game was conceived. And then in our player structure at offset 1D E4 we have the weapon, while at offset 1D E8 we have the vigor. So if you take a look at these comments here, you'll see that what I'm doing is to set infinite ammo count to infinite to on, and then spare ammo count, which is the magazine. Let's say ammo count is the clip, spare ammo count is the magazine. And I set these both to their unlimited state. And then I also set up a weapon consumption policy in our weapons properties to off, as in whenever the game, this is just, let's say, I want to be sure that everything is in place and we have unlimited ammo. And in order for this to work, and I set the consumption policy to off as well for the vigor. And in order for this to work, what you have to do is enable the script, go back in game, cycle the vigors one time, so 1, 2, 1, and then use the mouse wheel to cycle the weapons one time. And then when you fire and when you use the vigor, you can see that everything is full. As in there's no consumption, no depletion, or whatever. So that's the second way of doing unlimited ammo. I provided both scripts here so that you can choose whichever you want. Now I was telling you about no recoil and spread. One more observation about the first script. If you keep this enabled and you go back to main menu and then go back in game, because of the fact that you have this enabled, the difficulty set of having unlimited ammo turned on, what the game will do is not populate the clip and magazine values, as in you'll have 0 clip, 0 magazine when you go in game, even though you'll be able to fire. But let me just show you. Even though you'll be able to fire, the game will say that you do not have, well, you're low on ammo. So let me just go back to main menu, go back in game, and I'll show you that you have 0 of both. And the fastest way to check that is through another section, which is called UE3 stats. And if you scroll all the way down here to the weapon part and then take a look at these two, ammo count and spare count, you see 0. And you might have also noticed in the background that it said you're low on ammo, find some. So you still have unlimited ammo, you can fire, but from time to time you'll see that annoying messages. This one, you're low on ammo, find more. And it's pretty much annoying. And even though Elizabeth will at some point throw ammo at you, just to refill the count, you'll see that you still have 0. So whenever you have that rule active, its meaning is it'll basically block updates from both sides, as in you cannot deplete the counts and you cannot increase the counts as well. So you're pretty much frozen with the amounts that you're having. That being said, it might be useful, for example, for scenarios where you don't have, let's say, a full stockpile of ammo and you can still gather elements from boxes, from loot boxes, or for example, these destroyed turrets, stuff like that. If you remember, whenever you have full of something, you cannot pick it up anymore from, let's say, corpses or boxes or whatever element in the game that you can search for items. So it may be useful if you're annoyed by the fact that you cannot clean up a loot container. But as I said, as you can see, we have unlimited ammo, infinite ammo, even though we're at 0. It's just, as you can see here, it's just that, well, you will see this message on screen every now and then, and it's annoying, I know. Now let me show you the other script, no recoil and spread. If you open this up as well, you'll see that I mentioned something here. This check will also disable screen shake when AI hits you. What this means, well, also when you're crouching, when you're landing from jumping and stuff like that. What this means is whenever you get hit or do any of the actions that I mentioned, as well as fire weapons, there won't be any screen shake. So I basically disabled recoil of everything that's going on in game. So I'm just going to activate the script, and when I fire, you can see now that the screen doesn't shake. You have perfect accuracy, and well, when you're running, the screen does tilt a bit, but that's about when you're running. But if you remember, when I jumped and landed, or when I crouched and got up, there was a screen shake, and it's not there anymore. Maybe this is annoying at some point when, let's say, the AI fires at you and you don't want to play with God mode on, and given the fact that there's no screen shaking, you'll probably not be tipped off by the fact that you're being attacked. So although in the top left corner of the screen you'll see shield going down and health going down at some point, you will see the red reticle in the direction of the person that's attacking you. But there won't be any more shaking like it's happening right now. So I don't know if that's a good effect or not, but anyway, if you don't want that to happen, you can go back inside the script and you can fiddle with this part here, as in remove it, in such a way that whenever the checks occur, they will only happen when you fire the weapon. So the recoil for the weapon, the camera shake will be disabled only when you're firing the weapon. Okay. Now, in this section, well, let me just go to the cheat handler first. There's so many things in this table that I want to talk about very fast, but I don't want to keep this video long. So I'm just going to enable the cheat handler. You can now see this pointer here is valid, what I've been mentioning in the beginning. So if you set this manually to 0.5 or use the hotkeys within the cheat handler, you'll see that back in game you'll move slower. Come on, Elizabeth. Or if you set it to 1.5, for example. Come on, Elizabeth, let's go. Yeah. I'm jumping. Woo! I died. Oops. And as you can see, I have 0 ammo. Well, that's because I had the script on when the map loaded. Okay, so back to 1. As I was saying, if you open up the cheat handler script, you'll see here the hotkeys. So for slow-mo, the hotkeys are down here. Toggle slow-mo 2, toggle slow-mo 3, toggle slow-mo 1. You have 7, 8, 9 on your numerics. You can change this by going to Microsoft's website and looking for Get Async Key State API. And you'll find there a reference. Let's see. Get Async Key State. You'll find here this reference, virtual key codes. Click on it, and now you're seeing the list of key codes. So for numeric pad 7, you have push 67. If you scroll down and look here on the left, 0x67 is numeric keypad 7. If you want to change the keys, just take a look at this list and then remap this. Instead of 67, just put something else, the value corresponding to the key that you want to assign. So using the defaults, if I now press 7 in game, of course, you can see that I'm moving slow. If I'm pressing 9, you can see that I'm moving fast. If I press 8, everything's back to normal. So if you press 7 and the game moves slow, you can take a look outside, you see 0.5 here. If you press 9 and the game runs faster, you can see 1.5 outside. And if you press 8, go back outside, you can see a 1. Now for the other goodies, players only is going to be used only when you want to like freeze the engine in such a way that only you can move. So let's take a look at Elizabeth. The hotkey for it is players only. Now numeric 1. So take a look at Elizabeth. She's frozen. You can move. You cannot fire, just so you know what you're to expect. Press 1 again, and we're... Let me just try and make her run and freeze her in mid-motion. Oh, there you go. Hi, Elizabeth. This is useful for you when, for example, if you want to play the game, the main story of the game, you can, get past guards or AI without them noticing you. Well, it's pretty much like being invisible. That's about it with this one. Now, for numeric pad 2, if you press on it, what will happen is you will fly, like I'm doing right now. Just know that there are some objects in-game that may seem solid to you, like, for example, up top here. But
I may be the one who strikes you down to it, but you've always had a knack for self-destruction.
Some of them you'll see that are like here. See, they're not that solid. You can go through them. Let's say, for example, the Prophets logo here. I think we can go through it. There you go. So this is not solid. So not everything in-game will be solid. This is solid, for example, this glass window. But anyway, I'm digressing. If you press 2 again, you can drop down and you've disabled fly. Now ghosting. What ghosting is basically no clipping. It's fly plus disabling the... Let me just show you what I'm doing. So for players only, I'm looking for a property called B players only. That's in engine world info. As you can see, bool property. And then I'm toggling it on and off. For fly, I'm just modifying in our player's structure Boolean value that tells us whether the player is flying, walking, and so on and so forth. This is called ePhysics, and the property is 04 for player flying and 01 for player walking. Then for ghost, what I'm doing is I'm looking for B collide world and B collide actors, and also B collide complex. I decided to put all 3 of them. What this does is to disable collision with actors, with the world, and with complex objects for our player. So whenever you use ghost, you'll have both fly and collisions turned off. So if I use numeric pad 3 for total ghost, you'll see that I'm flying, but at the same time, if you remember, there was this glass window here that I cannot walk through.
I may be the one who strikes you down to it.
Now I can. At the same time, if you're using ghost,
I may be the one who strikes you down to it.
Oh, shut up
but
already.
You've always had a knack for self-destruction.
Yeah, thing is, whenever you're moving between locations, you'll at the time trigger events. And as you can see right now, and you can hear, there's no more sounds around me. That is because I'm not colliding with everything else. So it's nice and quiet. You'll hear just my voice. So now if you press numeric pad 3, everything's back to normal. And let me also show you the fact that, well, if I don't have the B collide actors turned on, I cannot go through Elizabeth, which I can now. Where are you? Hey, look, I'm inside you. That came out wrong. Okay. So I've disabled that, and well, now I've walked through, let's say, an event. What's it called? Anyway, as you can see, the area has been lit up. So an event trigger. Yeah, that's the word for it. So I triggered the reinitialization of whatever the map was holding. We have sound again. Toggle God, what this will do is to activate a Boolean value in the player controller that basically disables any damage that you get. There won't be any screen shaking, there won't be any health loss or shield loss or stuff like that. Toggle invisible renders you invisible, but at the same time you'll notice that you don't see the health bars anymore above your enemies. So let's just use numeric pad 5. You'll see here statuses for the let's say cheats in the cheat handler that you've activated. So for invisible, if I go back in game and press numeric pad 5, you'll see a 1 here. Don't change these manually because they will not do anything. They're just statuses. You still have to press the key to activate the effect. So numeric pad 5, you see the one having occurred here. So what this will do is if I go up top where there are AIs waiting for me, if I remember correctly, and just hoping the engine will spawn some just to prove a point. If not, I may have to go back to main menu and retry.
Follow me.
Yep, going up. Where are you, bitches? They should have been here somewhere. Okay, back to main menu. Another thing to note is the fact that you should not be using the cheat handler outside of the map, and considering the fact that I've enabled invisible, this will stay to 1, and I should probably make it 0 right now because I left the game. And if I press numeric pad 5 one more time when I'm in game, I will actually disable invisible rather than enabling it. So whenever you go back to main menu and go back in game, just know that everything resets, and you have to rerun that particular feature on the handler. So let's just go up. Where's the goddamn? Okay. Let's attach. And I'm waiting for some AIs to be spawned. They should. There you go. You can see the health bars. Okay. So I'm hiding here. I press numeric pad 5 and you can see that we're invisible right now. And then... Oh, hi Elizabeth. Anytime now. Okay. So here you go. We're now invisible to the AI. But you cannot see the health bars above their heads. That's the only downside. Oh, good. I think they're coded like that, just, you know. And they're right now not firing at me, and they're firing at an area where sound was heard.
Surrender. Move in on him.
As you can see, they do not see me. Cool. Okay. There's another feature in the table. It's called Reset Awareness. And I think, if I remember correctly, this works in the way that the status of the AI will get reset once you press the key, but this does not apply necessarily to the AI. It's a state that happens in your player structure. And what this does, scroll all the way down for reset awareness, is to set a Boolean value to 1 and then make it 0 again. So let's see, if I press numeric pad 6, was it? Numeric pad 6. Yep. The reason there isn't any status here is because, well, this is not an option that is turned on then off. It's an option that goes on off, so you don't need a status for it. That's why you see there the Boolean being turned to 1 and then to 0. So let's see what's happening in game. I'm assuming that the AI will not be as crazed as they are right now. So numeric pad 6.
You'll be sorry.
And you can pretty much see that they've stopped being agitated. Now, if I fire,
Get him cornered.
they're agitated again. Numeric pad 6 again, and there got reset. Hello. And numeric pad 6. And nice little player. Okay. That out of the way. Well, for slow-mo, you've seen 789, and then there's also this one called Toggle HUD. What it will do is to disable the HUD, remove all the elements, including the weapon, the left and right side of the screen, where the ammo is, bottom left, where the vigor is, where the assault is, and as you can see, I have no elements. Screen. This is good for taking screenshots. You can also, fire or use V or whatever. Hello.
Don't make me hurt you.
You saw that hand?
Bust a rat.
Well, yeah. I died because, well, even though we're invisible, the AI will react to melee actions. So, and as you can see, everything got reset once I died. Okay, the HUD is back. And then numeric pad 6, and they stopped.
Don't make me do this.
But I'm not invisible anymore, so numeric pad 5 one time to turn it off, and numeric pad 1 again to turn it on. Even though they're firing, I'm invisible now because I pressed numeric pad 5 twice.
Any last words?
So if you die, oh, shut up already. So if you die, as you could have seen, the pawn structure gets reinitialized, so you're not invisible anymore. Whatever you had turned on is not on anymore. So you'll have to repress the cheat handler keys. So that's the cheat handler. Now in the extra, you also have this feature. Pause on Alt Tab. What you can do is click on here, click disabled, go back in game, press escape. Then when you're Alt tabbing, you can see that everything in the background is moving, and that is because, well, you don't have any pausing anymore. And the toggle UI on off, what this does is to just disable the UI user interface, but you still see the weapon and everything else. And if you try to use a vigor, you'll also see in the bottom left the effect of that vigor. Let me try and show you. So, user interface disabled, but you can see the effect in bottom left. But if you're using the cheat handler option, toggle HUD, what that will do is will remove that effect as well if you're planning on taking screenshots. And as you can see, when you're alt-tabbing, you don't see the menu anymore. And now you do. So that's the extra. In this section with UE3 stats, you can take a look at the various things that I've mapped out in the structures, like player, weapon. So you have the engine, you have the local player, you have the player controller, and from that player controller derived you have the human. Then you have physics. If you turn this to 4, you can fly, but then you have the world info. Inside this point, inside the structure, you can set up slow motion. You have the viewport client, you have the console. You can see that the class for it is not active yet. You can see the product version. This is the version of the game that I was talking about. This table is also compatible with some torrent release, Profit or something like that. I posted it on Fearless forums. And of course you can find a ton shit of other features that I've mapped out in here. And you can also see the product name, BioShock Infinite. Now in the UE3 goodies, you only have one script. It's called fnames and geoobjects dumper. What this does is to generate 2 text files in the game folder, in the binaries folder, and those files contains Unreal Engine names and objects with addresses that you can use in the current session. So if you go back in game, press numeric pad slash. You can also change that hotkey in the script itself. Then go outside and well, go to the game folder, BioShock Infinite, binaries. Well, I got a lot of crash dumps. Okay. And then you'll see these 2 files. The first one contains is a list of names. The second one contains a list of objects. So what you can do with this is you can open this up. You can take this pointer 2349D800, 2349D800, and look for it. And you can see what it stands for. So this address refers to xGameEngine transient.xGameEngine. This is an Unreal object. And based on the file that you're seeing on screen right now, I've been able to map everything that you've seen in here. So that's what the dumper is useful for, mapping. Okay. Now, the last part of this video. So for some of you that want to enable the console just for fun, I'm saying this because, well, after enabling the console, you don't have any, let's say, useful functions that you can use it for, like fly, god, whatever, the standard Unreal Engine stuff. What you can do is open this up. When you click on it, you'll see this big window with information, with explanations, which tells you what you should be doing. And I'm going to explain it a bit briefly. What you have to do once you enable this is to activate the script below it, and then close the game, and then reopen it, and hopefully it will do like it does right now for me. You'll see this hit. If this happens, what you do is click on it, go back in game past the movies, and once you're here and you press the tilde key, you'll see the famous console. If you press exit now, it will exit the game. Now, if that didn't occur, like it happened for me, you're going to want to exit the game and try again. Just leave that on. Cheat Engine will auto-attach to the process that's being newly created. And this will happen. So, number 2, it worked the second time for me. What I'm saying is, as you can see, it's here already. What I'm saying is there are times when this will not work. If it doesn't work, just exit the game, do not close cheat engine, and try to reopen it. I'm trying to get it to fail. Oh, there you go. So right now it failed. Okay. Once that happens, well, cheat engine will freeze, as you can see, because, well, the process is gone and the debugger cannot attach. Just click on no, and then let's see if it works. Second time, you can see the process up top here has changed. The process ID changed, and now it works. So there you go. That's how you enable the console in this game. Long story short, the reason the console is not being created is the fact that if we take a look at, for example, UE Explorer and open up the engine file with objects and take a look at the game viewport client init function, it says here if outer console class is none, is different, is valid actually, then it will create the viewport console object. What it really happens in game is this console class is always going to be null, as in 0. So when this happens, the if, the curl here will end here, and the engine skips doing this. So everything that's inside it will not be executed. So what we're doing is to populate that console class with the right pointer and the right offset in the X game engine Unreal object, so that when the game viewport client init function runs, it will find it's valid and it will create the viewport console object for us. And in order to do that, well, we had to get cheat engine to attach to the newly created process, BioShock Infinite, then stop at some point where I set a breakpoint right before the init function is run, then populate the null with the valid pointer inside X game engine. Well, everything of that is explained in here, so you can take a read for yourself. And then when you click OK on that hit message box, the game will resume. The function is going to be run. It will find the valid pointer and it will create a console. So that's how it works here. Well, having said that, that's about it for this demonstration. Well, see you around. Bye bye.